We continue our coverage this morning of the political shakeup in D.C. Kristi Noem is out as Secretary of the Department of Homeland Security, and President Trump has recommended U.S. Senator Markwayne Mullin of Oklahoma to take her place.
Been talking a lot about it. Joining us this morning is Oklahoma Senate President Pro Tem Lonnie Paxton. We appreciate you being with us.
Great to be here. Thank you.
I know that you've been on Flashpoint with my brother Kevin. I'm sorry you had to deal with him, but you've got me now this morning. Hey, what was your initial?
It was enjoyable.
Thank you. What was your initial reaction here to Mullin's appointment?
Well, I mean, like most people, I was pretty surprised. I mean, I don't think anybody was expecting that. And when I woke up yesterday morning, I did not think that would be the topic of conversation. But it's politics. Anything can happen anytime.
What skills and experience do you believe that Mullin brings to this role?
I think you just look at his entire history in his life and everything he's taken on. He seems to be a person that really enjoys challenges and tough challenges, and he is really. If you look at his history, in the private life and his professional life, his political life, he's been very successful in everything that he's taken on. So I'm looking forward to seeing what he does in this new role. I think it's great for the state of Oklahoma to have one of our own in such an important position, and looking forward to seeing what he does. And I expect nothing but great success.
I was just talking with a political science professor about some of the challenges of this role. We know that there's been some pushback about a potential ICE detention center here in Oklahoma City. Also, with the deaths of 2 U.S. citizens in Minnesota, Department of Homeland Security has certainly seen some challenges under Kristi Noem. What advice, I guess, would you have for Secretary Mullin if he's confirmed?
Well, I think it's not just challenges under Secretary Noem. It's challenges of that position in particular. That is a tough job. And my advice to Senator Mullin would just be do what he's always done. And he takes it on. He learns. He grabs a new role and learns what he's supposed to be. I've just been impressed. And when he was a U.S. congressman to a United States senator, he always takes on those roles and just does a fantastic job. And I think he's going to do the same here. I mean, it's going to be a lot different, but he already has that political experience. He has the relationships that he's built not only with the president but with members of Congress. And I think he's going to be able to use that to his advantage to really make things happen in a positive direction for the country.
In terms of Mullin's replacement, where do we go from here?
Oh, man, that's kind of the political question in Oklahoma right now is what's next. Of course, the governor, under a law that now Speaker Hilbert and myself passed in 2021, the governor will have the ability now to appoint somebody, and that appointment is a temporary appointment. We did not want the governor to be what you would call a kingmaker, to give somebody the power of incumbency. We want somebody to be a placeholder to make sure Oklahoma is represented in the U.S. Senate while the voters select a new permanent replacement. And so that's what's going to unfold right now is the governor, there's two parts to this. One of them, the governor is going to be making an appointment, and I'm sure he's working very hard at that. I talked with the governor yesterday and not giving him any advice or any names. I just called to say, hey, friend, I'm thinking about you. Good luck with this. I know that's going to be a big decision to make, and good luck with it. And so, but the other side of it is we have filing for political offices on April 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. And so things are going to we know things are going to shake up. And I think you could see people move from one race to the other, and things may move around. And so I don't know what's going to happen. I expect a very crowded field in the race for that office.
Speaking of the field, will we see any Paxton for U.S. Senate posters out there?
We need to drive to Texas, where Attorney General Ken Paxton is running for the U.S. Senate to find a Paxton for Senate poster, and he is of no relation to me. So that will not happen here in Oklahoma.
Well, I appreciate your advice to him. Good luck with this, essentially. So thank you so much, Senator Paxton, for joining us this morning.
It's great to be here. Thank you all.
Appreciate that.